It did use a lot of electricity.
Ele custou o equivalente a 8 milhões de dólares e podia somar centenas de números por segundo. Mas, se você quisesse fazer algo além de somar, tinha que reconfigurar a máquina inteira. John von Neumann, um matemático de Princeton, decidiu que era possível dizer a um computador o que fazer sem reconfigurá-lo para cada problema diferente.
I'd say one of the most significant inventions of computing today was the realization that was actually attributed to John von Neumann, that you could store both the computer program and the data that the program was to act upon in the same memory.
Isso significou que as instruções foram realmente armazenadas dentro da memória da própria máquina. Uma companhia privada chamada Remington Rand comprou os projetos do ENIAC e rebatizou sua versão de UNIVAC. O UNIVAC se tornou mundialmente conhecido quando previu na televisão o resultado da eleição presidencial de 1952 nos Estados Unidos.
Moving on into the 1960s, there was the development of the transistor and the implementation of transistor machines. Probably best known in that series with the IBM 360 series, which was the first compatible family of computers, a whole series of machines that were immensely successful and established all kinds of standards in computing, such as the fact that one character, which consists of 8 binary digits or 8 bits to make what's known as a byte, that was a standardization that came about in the IBM 360.
Os pesquisadores também começaram a se concentrar na interface entre o homem e a máquina. Douglas Engelbart foi um dos visionários que ajudaram a fazer do futuro o que ele é hoje. No que foi visto como uma apresentação multimídia no início dos anos 60, ele introduziu uma nova forma de se comunicar com o computador.
I don't know why we call it a mouse. Sometimes I apologize. It started that way. And we never did change it.
It's an interesting thing, but sometimes it almost irritates me that people say, oh, you've done the mouse, and it's just one little piece of all the things I've been trying to do, but all right, it's something everybody sees and knows. And how it came about is pretty straightforward. This funny-looking device was the world's first mouse. It was made of wood. The inside was filled with this metal things, and the major interesting parts were these 2 wheels, one of which is a horizontal wheel and the other is a vertical. If you move sideways, it's one wheel does the rolling and the other does the sliding.
O mouse que nós conhecemos hoje rola com uma bola que gira 2 rodas fendidas montadas em ângulos corretos. Quando as rodas giram, a luz brilha através das fendas e produz um sinal elétrico que indica ao computador as novas coordenadas horizontais e verticais do cursor.
Everybody assumed that when the world gets interested in this kind of interactive, sure, they'll probably use that, but they'll give it some dignified name. So it's kind of a kick that it escaped out into the world bearing its mousy name.
Douglas Engelbart, mais tarde, tornou-se parte da equipe encarregada de unir computadores em 4 diferentes locais de pesquisa. A ARPANET foi o começo da internet. Ela foi criada pelos militares para estabelecer uma comunicação estável e rápida entre cientistas e pesquisadores. Embora ela não tenha tido a mesma repercussão de outros eventos históricos importantes, enviar a primeira mensagem eletrônica entre computadores foi um gigantesco salto em direção à era da informação.
We wired my computer in as the second one to be connected into the ARPANET, which went on to evolve into the Internet, which is really kind of exciting to think about with all the millions that are on there now. I was number 2, my computer was. And you really can't have a network if you have only one, so that's about as early as you can get into a network.
O que torna tudo isso possível é uma caixa que capta os sinais digitais do computador e os transforma em sinais analógicos que podem viajar pela linha telefônica, um modulador-demodulador, um modem.
It's always been possible to call up on a telephone line using a device called a modem, which will let your computer talk across the telephone network to some other computer. And those things have been around for a long time. When people talk about online services, it's about really making this a ubiquitous service that not only is everyone have the technical ability to connect, but there's something at the other end that they want to connect to.
Os projetistas de computador sempre tiveram a ideia de um mundo online. Conectar bancos de dados maciços, ingressar em programas educacionais. No início da década de 80, o presidente francês Valéry Giscard d'Estaing encarregou uma equipe de especialistas de introduzir a França na era da informação. Ao contrário da ARPANET, seu objetivo era projetar uma rede comercial. O serviço telefônico francês distribuiu milhões de terminais chamados Minitel. Mas, como outras novas mídias, o Minitel Online tirou sua energia de infinitos tópicos, incluindo fantasia sexual. A popularidade da chamada Rede Rosa cresceu rapidamente, especialmente nas zonas de prostituição de Paris, onde os anúncios emplastravam as paredes.
We have what we call dialogue services, where people discuss together about any subject, and you certainly know that there are publicity about that in France.
Em 1985, havia tantos homens e mulheres franceses conversando online que o sistema ficou sobrecarregado e entrou em colapso. Mas, como quase tudo, o Minitel se tornou um pouco mais dócil com a idade.
I think the success in France is that now all the practical services has very much developed, like banking, mail order, and these are the large majority of the usage.
Hoje, o Minitel é usado primordialmente como uma versão eletrônica das páginas amarelas, uma forma rápida de encomendar ingressos ou comprar alimentos.
It works on the telephone lines in each homes or offices, and just what we did was to build pieces of hardware and software in between to make the connection between the phone line and the switch network, and these gateways are producing the access to the services that you can see on the screen, and also these pieces of hardware and software make the billing on the telephone line.
Nos Estados Unidos, os serviços online também experimentaram um crescimento espetacular. Enquanto eles apresentam shopping centers eletrônicos e revistas online, o maior volume de tráfego é do correio eletrônico.
Today, email is a way of life in my daily business activity. In fact, my wife, who is probably as anti-technological as anyone in our society, has a Mac, is a CompuServe customer, and communicates regularly with our children on email, and has found that a much more efficient way to get a hold of the kids when their answering machine, says they're not there. That email message that says, if you want a Christmas present, you better respond, is a pretty powerful tool.
Boletins computadorizados como o CompuServe podem também ser uma porta de entrada para o correio eletrônico global pelo caminho da internet. Ela evoluiu para a maior e mais amplamente usada rede não comercial no mundo.
There's a magic in having millions of people be able to communicate with each other, send electronic mail, communicate with a server, which is a computer that sits off in a closet somewhere, doesn't have anyone typing at it. It serves requests made from personal computers that could be all over the place. And there really is a magic in that, and the popularity of the internet is a testimony to this.
Quando você envia uma mensagem pela internet, ela é quebrada em pequenos pacotes, cada um com um endereço na frente. Eles se juntam a uma corrente de outros pacotes que são direcionados para sub-redes corretas e, finalmente, para a estação receptora que captura qualquer coisa endereçada a ela.
The internet is just a web of computers that are connected up to each other every which way. And when you send mail from one internet site to another, it doesn't pass through any central routing system. It finds its way through some hopefully reasonably efficient path from your computer to the recipient's computer. But there is no central place that it goes through.
Por causa da sua natureza descentralizada, nenhuma pessoa foi responsável por torná-la amigável ao usuário.
The problem is that today the internet is a wild and woolly frontier. Most of it's incredibly hard to use. It was created by computer scientists for computer scientists for the most part. And so it's not something where there's any consistency in the way you do one thing versus the way you do something else. It's extremely difficult to use some aspects of it. And the quality of what you find out there is very uneven. There's some gems and there's some stuff that is garbage.
It's really a very important question for our society to start considering. It's the biggest frontier of its kind we've ever faced. Who's responsible for mapping it?
Os pioneiros desse estranho e novo universo foram pesquisadores e aficionados, que são geralmente agrupados juntos e chamados de hackers. Eles acreditam que toda informação deve ser não comercial, livre e aberta. Eles vivem sem leis e gostam desse jeito. Organizados contra eles estão os especialistas em computação encarregados de manter a segurança dos seus sistemas.
It's going to be a battle between the people who want the internet to maintain its freewheeling and anarchic quality and the corporations that want to basically round up all the Indians and domesticate them so that all the homesteaders can come in and use the internet for, I don't know if you want to call it recreational purposes, but it's really this plastic and fake environment that corporations want to make.
Mark Abene, mais conhecido no mundo eletrônico como Fiber Optic, é um dos hackers mais famosos dos Estados Unidos. Em 94, ele foi preso por invadir o sistema telefônico da AT&T.
I'd been getting into various phone company computers for years. It was just part of the exploration. It was just lots of fun to get into a phone company switching system, to explore it, to map it out, to really understand the bigger picture, how everything's interconnected.
As companhias telefônicas não acharam a invasão muito divertida. A Southwestern Bell declarou ter gasto $370 mil para capturar os invasores e reparar os danos.
Back then, I mean, there was no real strict difference between what's legal and what wasn't. So a lot of things kind of just became illegal after 1986.
Abene e outros 4 hackers da região de Nova York foram acusados de falsificação por computador, fraude eletrônica, escuta eletrônica ilegal e conspiração.
They use me as an example because I don't have any qualms about speaking to the media, about appearing at conferences openly. It kind of shatters their stereotypes. I mean, back in, say, the mid to late 80s, the typical Fed or corporate stereotype for a hacker was some sniveling little person or some terrorist type who was lurking in the shadows, just waiting to pounce on your hardware and destroy it for whatever reason.
Unfortunately, hacker is a very overloaded word that people use for various contexts. In some cases, people just mean individuals who are obsessed by programming.
The other meaning is one who maliciously breaks into other people's computers and causes various kinds of mischief and even havoc. And that's the sense of the word that seems to have become chosen by the media. So it's an unwinnable battle, but true hackers will always know the difference, I think.
The ability to put information on computer systems and communicate it very, very easily and cheaply everywhere has a number of enormous implications. If you look at this at the broad scale, it does away with geography. As you start moving communications online, distance doesn't matter as much.
As companhias de informática preveem uma aldeia global interativa ligada por fibras óticas digitais de alta velocidade. Os avanços na comunicação de dados têm sido alcançados por diferentes indústrias. Os líderes entre eles são as gigantes dos cabos, como a Telecommunications Incorporated.
What's really driving all of these businesses together is digital technology. Because for the first time, it's possible to think about doing over one transmission path, video, data, narrowband, broadband.
When you send information from one point to another, you want some measure of information. For the stuff that's very, very small amount of information per time, like Morse code or typing, they would call that narrowband. The analogy being to the width of the pipe it would take to pour it down, like you were sending water or something. Whereas if you're sending enormous amounts of information, millions and millions of bits per second, as you need to have for video, that's usually called broadband. Today, the way broadband information comes into your home is television for most people. And one of the reasons that that's been cost effective and that it's in all of our homes is that we all get the same damn signal. Now in the future, what we're going to be able to do, we'll have a wire that comes in your home, and once you have that cable coming in, you now are going to be able to get your own video feeds. If you want to have the kids call grandma or send them a little multimedia project they did in school, they'll be able to send that. It'll be the second information revolution. And as it spans geography, as it leverages our ability to create things, as it changes how we are able to access the world, I think it's going to be positive. But even if you don't agree with that, I think you should agree that it'll be dramatic.
Os projetistas de computador estão o tempo todo melhorando a interação homem-máquina. Hoje, eles querem ir além do menu e criar um espaço de informação que pareça e seja sentido como um espaço tridimensional real. A primeira implementação desse sistema é o Madcap Software. No Motorola Zenvoy, em vez de uma lista de programas, você vê uma escrivaninha de desenho. Abra uma lista telefônica. Aponte para uma porta, entre em uma sala de arquivo. Esta poderia ser a entrada para o cyberespaço. Mas o que hoje é tido como realidade virtual nem começou a se aproximar dos mundos imaginários descritos pelos escritores de ficção científica. William Gibson, o inventor da palavra cyberespaço, previu um futuro em que os cérebros humanos estão ligados diretamente ao computador para criar um mundo de uma impensável complexidade e mistério. O tema foi aproveitado por outros escritores. Neil Stephenson chama sua versão de metaverse.
Metaverse is a new interface that looks like a world and basically follows the rules of three-dimensional space. There are buildings, there's streets, there's means of transportation. You can walk around, you see other people. You've got a body in the metaverse called an avatar, and so does the other person. So your avatars just go up to each other and talk. It's very simple. If you want to give somebody some information, you take a card out of your pocket. It looks like a business card. It's called a HyperCard, and it is a metaphor for, it's a representation of a chunk of information. And your avatar hands it to the other person's avatar. That person's avatar takes it, and as they do, as that transfer is made, the information is moved from your computer into their computer, and so on.
No mundo de Stephenson, não há fronteiras. É um contexto no qual nós juntamos a tecnologia com a paixão. Um lugar onde as formas mudam à vontade e a paisagem é uma alucinação alimentada diretamente por nossos cérebros.
I'm sure that as time goes on, we understand more about how our minds work. And to me, the mind is what the brain does, so it's really understanding what the brain does that's important. Then we'll be able to tinker with it. And I think humans ought to be very impatient to be able to clip gadgets into their head or wherever you want to put them to increase our powers. People don't think much about improving their eyesight by attaching these little gadgets to their nose, and someday they'll think that it's silly not to attach things to your brain so that you can think better.
Marvin Minsky não é um escritor de ficção científica. Ele é um respeitado professor do MIT e passou anos imaginando como fazer máquinas capazes de pensar.
A little desktop computer can be programmed to do some kinds of calculations and some kinds of reasoning that no person could ever do. And so when you take a pocket computer or a laptop computer or one of those little things, for all we know, if we had the right program, that would become a person.
A tarefa é desanimadora. O cérebro humano nasce com algumas programações pré-estabelecidas, mas, em grande parte, ele se autoprograma conforme passa o tempo. Ele aprende com o mundo exterior. Alguns projetistas estão construindo computadores que podem aprender com a experiência. Mas essa não é a resposta completa.
Sorry about this. I know it's a bit silly. But there are some extremely odd things about this mission.
How do you mean?
A verdadeira inteligência artificial provavelmente não agirá como os computadores que conhecemos.
Perhaps I'm just projecting my own concern about it.
Ela deve desenvolver características que nós podemos ou não entender. Alguns chamariam isso de uma forma de vida.
There isn't a single aspect of ship operations that's not under his control. If he were proven to be malfunctioning, I wouldn't see how we'd have any choice but disconnection.
E alguns dizem que, se você desliga essa máquina, está cometendo um assassinato.
Dave, stop. I'm afraid, Dave. My mind is going. I can feel it.
I think it'll be very exciting when we learn how to make machines that can think, some in ways that are the way we think, and some that think in different ways.
Para o professor Minsky, a ideia das máquinas pensantes é o próximo passo na evolução humana. Para outros, é o próximo passo rumo a tornar os seres humanos obsoletos.
The fear that it's going to replace us is a insecurity that I don't think we need to have. You know, computers aren't going to be able to do the things that humans are good at doing for any time in the foreseeable future.
If we're going to start building brains, I don't see I don't see why we go to all this expense and fuss to do it artificially. I mean, if there's not enough intelligence in the world, if there's not enough brains working on the right problems, doing the right things, the solution is not to go into the lab and make an artificial brain. The solution is to find someone you love, have sex with them, have kids, raise the kids well, educate them, and you've got brains.
No final, poderia ser um casamento entre a mente e o microchip. O velho e o novo. Uma coisa antiga e uma futura.